You sure?
Well, I can see that.
Okay. Yep.
Hello, welcome everyone to Chatham-Kent sale of land by public tender. My name is Matt Torrance. I'm the Director of Financial Services. I'm joined today by Amy McClellan, the Manager of Revenue, along with some staff from tax collections, corporate communications, and legal services. So we're going to start today by just going through some process slides. So just bear with me for a few minutes as we go through these. So the tax sale tender process, all tenders present are sealed and have been handled by the Manager of Revenue. Tenders will be opened in the numbered time sequence they were submitted by advertised parcel order. All tenders will be passed to the Deputy Treasurer, who will announce the name and bid amount of each submission. The bidder's name and bid amount will be announced and recorded. In the event that the highest bid is a tie, the bid received first will be determined as the highest. Confirmation of tender eligibility will be determined after the tax sale, and the results of the tax sale will be published on the Chatham-Kent website. The deposits for unsuccessful tenders will not be released at today's tender until under any circumstances. Deposit checks of unsuccessful tenders will be returned by courier only. The highest bidder shall be declared to be the successful purchaser if the bidder pays the amount of the bid, plus the applicable land transfer tax and HST where applicable, plus accumulated real property taxes within 14 days of notification to the successful bidder. If an eligible tender is not received for a parcel of land under Section 17 of the Municipal Act, the property may be vested in the name of the Corporation of the Municipality of Chatham-Kent. All property may be subject to land transfer tax and HST if applicable. We are not making any representations or warranties as to title, the nature, quality, or size of the property. We are selling the property as is, where is, and no survey will be provided on the closing of the sale. There may be environmental issues, including cleanup and remediation obligations, which must be assumed by the purchaser. The successful purchaser of the property will accept the responsibility to initiate and complete the eviction process should the property have any occupants. Any liens previously registered by the Crown will remain and not be removed once the sale or vesting has been completed. It is the responsibility of the prospective purchaser to have determined prior to the tender submission if any such lien exists. So parcel number 1 is roll number 3650-140-006-04100, plan 109 North, Part Lot 4, being 12 Princess Street, Blenheim, PIN 009380525, land title. Minimum tender amount $7,736.19. First tender is in the name Thomas Lemoyne, $15,021. Second tender is in the name Warren Matheson and Janice McKnight, $10,000. Third tender in the name Jimco 360 Dynamics Limited, $49,000. Next tender in the name Mansukambai Sidapara Kamal, $21,000. Next tender in the name Dr. Kevin D. Ellsworth, $25,000. Next tender in the name Devin Demers, $13,000. The next tender in the name H2H Building Inc., $11,000. Next tender in the name Maranatha Affordable Real Estate Properties Canada, $25,550. Next tender in the name Ron Joyce, $27,555. Next tender in the name Antonio Shakir, $10,000. Next tender in the name 1310790 Canada Inc. and 1316330 Canada Inc. $27,000. Next tender in the name of Neville Yun on behalf of 1974372 Ontario Limited, $21,500. Next tender in the name Brad Yulton, $46,300. Next tender in the name Vivek Raj, $11,000. Next tender in the name Xing Le Liu, $8,105. Next tender in the name Jayaraban Sivopathan Santaram, $20,100. Next tender in the name Anthony Niclario, $14,735. And the final tender for parcel number 1 is Linda Jors and Joanne Brown, $51,350. Parcel number 2 is 2 parcels. Roll number 3650-140-006-67100 and roll number 3650-140-006-67200. Plan 109 North, Part Lot 23, and Plan 109 South, Part Lot 23, being Adelaide Street, Blenheim, and 95 Adelaide Street, Blenheim. PIN 00939. 0166 land title and PIN 009390165 land title. Minimum tender amount $31,165.06. First tender is in the name Randolph Rolls, $65,000. Second tender in the name Robert Scarf, $47,125. Next title in the name Elvis Suresh Bhai Dumar, $61,000. Next tender in the name Warren Matheson and Janice McKnight, $35,000. Next tender in the name Lisa Andrew Chow and Richard Andrew Chow, $68,000. Next tender in the name Waleed Al Sharif, $35,550. Next tender in the name Tally Gershowitz and Joseph Gershowitz, $117,000. Next tender in the name Braden Alexander Remsick, $125,050. Next tender in the name Michelle E. Warren and Sivian H. Warren, $42,575. Next tender in the name Brad Yolton, $68,700.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Next tender in the names Natalie Harrison, Phyllis Harrison, and Matthew Harrison, $165,650.06. Next tender in the name Nobel Properties Inc., $77,100. Next tender in the name Linda Jors and Joanne Brown, $63,350. Next tender in the name Don Geddes and Keith Montgomery, $118,901. And next tender in the name Anthony Niclario, $48,620. I think it was 118, I believe.
She won the highest.
The last one it was 48, before the last one it was 180 or 118.
118.
118.
Parcel number 3 is roll number 3650-140-010-13000, Plan 398, Lot 8, being 18370 Erie Shore Drive, Wenham, PIN 009381237 land tile. Per Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority regulations applicable to this property, no permits will be permitted for construction on this property. Minimum tender amount, $6,899.43. First tenders in the name Mohammed Mohsin, $12,100. Next tender in the name John Bloxham, $13,700. Next tender in the name the Armstrong Solution Corporation, $8,889. Next tender in the name Ronald Kenneth Paseski and Rosemarie Bernadette Paseski, $25,150. Next tender in the name Todd Allen and Shannon McDonald, $18,973.43. Next tender in the name Mao Ruxu and Quinn Wenyu, $15,010. Parcel number 4 is roll number 3650-320-002-10295. Concession 9, part lot 13, being Beach Street, Bothwell, PIN 00637-0003. Minimum tender amount, $6,484.87. First tender in the name of the Makeout Property Corporation, $12,400. Next tender in the name Tim Brown and Natalie Mahovlich, $10,050. Next tender in the name Arun Kamarjan, $7,250. Next tender in the name 2015913 Ontario Inc., Jesse Sojak, $40,005. Next tender in the name 10006777727 Ontario Inc., $31,777. Next tender in the name Waleed El Sharif, $7,000. Next tender in the name Vivek Raj, $10,002. Next tender in the name Franco DeMarco and Caitlin DeMarco, $23,402. Next tender in the name Jing Le Liu, $8,105. Parcel number 5 is roll number 3650-420-025-00100, Plan 386, Lot 4, Part Lot 3, being 7 Edna Street, Chatham, PIN 00522-0241 land title, minimum tender amount $19,267.79. First tender in the name Jermaine Thibodeau, $20,001. Next tender in the name Warren Matheson and Janice McKnight, $35,000. Next tender in the name Samuel Halloran, $60,000. Next tender in the name Emma Welkowitz, $132,600. Next tender in the name PE Real Estate Solutions Inc., $42,000. Next tender in the name Patrick Heathcote, $43,380. Next tender in the name Oyayami Akintadi and Sherry Adekola, $25,111. Next tender in the name John R. Vespa, $67,775. Next tender in the name John Anderi, $102,000. Next tender in the name Waleed El Sharif, $55,000. Next tender in the name Brad Gilton, $93,620. Next tender in the name Right Now Corporation, $35,000. Next tender in the name Phyllis Harrison, Natalie Harrison, and Matthew Harrison, $87,267.79. Next tender in the name Lanka Holdings Incorporated, $53,000. Next tender in the name Tally Gershwitz, $157,000. Next tender in the name Zheng Le Liu, $25,005. Parcel number 6 is roll number 3650-420-033-09400, Plan 521, Lot 31, being 12 Siskin Court, Chatham, pin 00533-0044, land title, minimum tender amount $13,982.11. First tender in the name Mohammed Masin, $31,300. Next tender in the name Warren Matheson and Janice McKnight, $16,000. Next tender in the name PE Real Estate Solutions Inc., $17,000. Next tender in the name Waleed El Sharif, $50,530. Next tender in the name Tally Gershowitz and Joseph Gershowitz, $167,000. Next tender in the name Brad Yolton, $53,600. Next tender in the name H2H Building Inc., $15,000. Next tender in the name Right Now Corporation, $15,000. Next tender in the name is Zing Le Liu, $21,005. Parcel number 7 is roll number 3650-442-004-05300, Plan 119, Lot 55, being 35 Hiram Street, Wellsburg, pin 00576-0041, land title, minimum tender amount $35,081.56. First tender in the name Warren Matheson and Janice McKnight, $36,000. Next tender in the name Waleed El Sharif, $60,350. Next tender in the name Ahmed Al Sharkawi, $131,000. Next tender in the name Joanne Brown and Linda Jors, $36,550. Parcel number 8 is roll number 3650-443-008-07204, part lot 1, concession 18 Chatham. Part road allowance between concession 18 and 19 Chatham, close by 88689-96641, part lot 1, concession 19 Chatham, as in CH 23911, lying southeast of Forest Road known as River Road, except 241328. Description may not be acceptable in future as in CH 23911, Chatham-Kent, being Beatty Street, Wellsburg, pin 007600103, land title, minimum tender amount $12,929.04. No tenders were received for this property.
Excuse me, I put one in.
For parcel number 8?
Yes, sir.
By mail or?
No, I brought it over here last Thursday. She stamped it,
What's your name?
Rick Winker. Brought it to the front desk.
I'm gonna go down to investigate right now. We don't have it here at the moment.
She date stamped it, marked it. The same girl's working at the desk today.
Okay.
Thanks. give a brief summary of the results today?
Not today.
No, it'll be posted tomorrow.
Okay. So we check the website, we will get a result, right?
Pardon?
You will publish on the website, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
sounds good. Good. Yeah. Good luck.
We're currently investigating 2 missing tenders. We're going to conclude the broadcast today and this proceeding, but the final results will be posted on Chatham-Kent's website by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.